before I start, how many of you have been sick or been to the doctor before? Well, whether we realize it or not, medicine is actually a big part of our lives. From a simple thing as cough syrups to NyQuil to Advil, it really plays a big role. And I think that since all of us have been sick at least once in our lives, that this would relate to most of us, a lot of us. I did lots of research on this, so I think I'm more than prepared to teach you all about my topic. So I'm going to take you all on a brief journey through time and teach you all about what medicine was really like just a few centuries ago. That way you'll see how much it's really evolved. So first I'll talk about medicine during the 1800s, then during the 1900s, and finally I'll compare that to modern medicine. So first I'll start off with the 19th century. So before modern medicine, the understanding of diseases were basically based on ideas that lacked little to any scientific evidence. So according to Elaine G. Breslau, author of Early Healthcare in America, published by the History News Network on December 10, 2012, for centuries it was believed that diseases were caused by an imbalance of the four humors, which was blood, which is this, phlegm, which is basically mucus, yellow bile, which is urine, and black bile, which is excrement. So the only way to maintain that balance was to remove an excess of whichever one of the four humors you had an excess of. So in order to do that, if doctors thought you had, let's say, an excess of blood, they would use tools like this one here to cut into your skin, usually the arm or the temple, because that's where most of the blood was. And they would drain however much they thought was necessary until you were better. Or they would use leeches to get rid of the blood that way. So that was known as bloodletting. So because of this, many people didn't consult with doctors because they seemed to do more harm than good, and also because they were very pricey, so it was usually for people of higher status. So fast forward, okay, sorry, I missed that. So they relied mostly on local healers and home remedies to cure their diseases. So fast forward to the late 1800s, according to Catherine Cam, who's a journalist for WebMD, published in 2015, dentists started using cocaine drops, like in this ad, for toothaches, and doctors started using it as an anesthetic to perform more extensive surgeries, because before they were limited to really just the surface of the body. So with the cocaine drops, they were able to go a little bit deeper. And parents also started giving them to their babies they were teething, so to help with the pain, I guess. So this is an ad for that. And this was a dentist doing a tooth extraction back in the 1800s. So that's it for the 1800s. So now I'll move on to the 1900s. So back then, mercury was used to cure just about anything and everything. And for those of you that don't know, this right here is mercury. It's basically a liquid metal. And according to Nathan Birch, who's a journalist, published on November 20th, 2007, you really weren't considered healthy unless you had mercury leaking out of at least one orifice of your body. So, the eyes, nose, ears, mouth, skin. So, but we now know today that mercury is actually extremely toxic. So during the 1940s, lobotomies became very popular, which is this. It's the process of, so basically the doctor would insert two ice picks into the corner of your eyes, and here he's using a mallet to hammer the picks into your brain, and they would then wiggle it around to destroy parts of the frontal lobe that they believed were the causes of mental illnesses. So, yeah. And then trepanation was another popular practice during this time. So if you went to the doctor with migraines, they would say that you needed, so they would have you lie down and they would use tools like this to basically bore holes into your skull, holes like you see here. And they believe that doing that would relieve pressure from the brain and cause you to, feel better. So I just talked about 20th century medicine, so now I'll go on to talk about modern medicine. So today, thanks to advancements in technology, doctors are able to do more to help patients. And not only do we have a better understanding about how the body works and how diseases form, spread, and how to treat them, we're able to perform, blood tests. We have cures for a whole lot of diseases and a whole lot more. So back then, basic hygiene wasn't really that important. So doctors never used to really wash their hands before, during, or after dealing with the patient. So that really helped the spread of diseases. But today we know that you have to sterilize your equipment, wash your hands, and now we use gloves to prevent that spread. So also the standards for people in the medical field today are also much higher than they were back then. So in order to be, back then you didn't really need much to be a doctor. You just really needed 2 months of schooling and that was it. Today it's a much longer journey and it requires a whole lot more work. So now that I talked about how medicine has changed throughout the centuries, it's time to wrap it up. So first I talked about medical practices during the 1800s, then during the 1900s, and then I compared modern medicine to previous centuries. So as you all can see, medicine has definitely improved throughout the centuries quite drastically, and hopefully you all remember this next time you go to the doctor and be thankful that medicine is what it is today. Yeah.